All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Unit Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. And we've made a signing, an actual signing. It's not technically for a player, but it's a signing. And actually, it's a pretty important one, and that is for Edu. Yes, our invincible, our former player, Edu, 41 years old, has been finally confirmed in the appointment of Arsenal technical director. And this video is really just to welcome him. It's really to talk about the sort of benefits I think he'll bring into the team, and really to kind of gauge, okay, so what's his next move? Obviously, for those of you, quite honestly, who are not old enough to remember, this guy was a very good midfielder for us. Wasn't necessarily a starter midfielder, but he was always a useful, capable player. Seems like a really nice guy. Always was really smiley on the pitch, smiley off the pitch. Was a really dependable hand for the previous manager. And after experiencing other things, obviously retiring from football, he's obviously transitioned now. Keep saying obviously, I'm going to try and stop doing that. He's transitioned now into more of his technical director stuff. He's been doing that for Brazil for a little while now. And then obviously from our point of view, we have Sven in place as head of recruitment. And one of the main reasons that he left was because when Arsenal were, if you notice, Arsenal was suddenly promoting people and giving them swazzy new titles following Ivan's departure. And Sven was not one of them. Sven was expected to take the role of technical director. And actually, not only did he not take the role, it was never offered to him, he actually left the club because of it. And then we went from wild speculation as to who would be the one to replace him. I think the favourite initially for the role was Monchi, who weirdly ended up going to Seville. It's like, okay. And then we stumbled across Edu. Edu seems like even a better fit in a lot of ways. We're talking about someone who is a football man. I think I speak for myself in this, but I assume I speak for a lot of you when I say this. It makes me feel better the more football people you can have behind the scenes at the club. I think the one thing that I didn't like about Ivan from the get-go, if I'm being completely honest, and that Vinay has shades of, is there's too much focus on business. I get that Arsenal is a business, but I think sometimes you could be lost in it. And I think having someone who is a footballing man first and foremost, I think is going to be an advantage to the club. In addition to the fact that he's an Arsenal man. This is one of our own. This is literally a guy that I would say most Arsenal fans remember fondly. Most Arsenal fans liked. And the fact that he's able to come in, he knows the club inside out. He's a fresh pair of eyes as well. Because, all right, yes, he's an Arsenal man, but he's not been involved in Arsenal for some time. With all due respect, this isn't a Robert Perez. This isn't a Freddie Ljungberg. This isn't a Per Mertesacker. This is someone who hasn't had the stench, if you like, of the previous manager. He hasn't even had the stench of the current manager. He hasn't had any involvement with these guys. He's just coming in with a fresh pair of eyes and hopefully a fresh influence to be able to take out on the club. And from my point of view, I have hope. I have hope. For me, as much things as you can change about that club, the better. And we need some change. But more than that, actually, we need some direction. I think it was pretty obvious we were going down the Edu route when the Martinelli rumours started. And it just started and it continued and it continued. And obviously that signing was confirmed. Was it late last week now? So what do I hope and expect from Edu? For me, I expect someone who needs to be a leader. You're now a technical director. You're someone who I expect is going to be able to be at the forefront of these signings and drive them through. You know, you're going to be the person who is going to identify the talent, sure, but you're also going to have a team under you that's going to be able to give you the ideas of the talent that you should be taking a closer look at. But what I'm expecting from him in the role is someone who's going to be decisive, more than anything, decisive, and drive through that talent. You know, have that conversation with Emre, have that input with Emre, and say, right, what exactly is it you need? You need a left back, cool. I need a first choice and a second choice, and I'll take care of a third choice, right? Don't you worry. We'll have that suggestion. We'll have that meeting, and then cool. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about wages, prices, none of that. That's my job. Just give me the choices that you're looking for. All right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that's what I'm hoping to see from him. I believe the Copa America is now finished. I'm taking a risk in saying that, but I believe it's now finished. So that can allow Edu to now get on with the job and get to it. Like this Kieran Tierney thing. My man needs to get involved in that and get that finished, dragged over the line. You know, there's a lot of talk about the fact that, you know, I'll mention this and I'll talk about this later. We're being linked with Lemma, or Lamina, I should say, Lemma. Lamina from Lamina from Southampton. And there's belief that there is a Corinthian link between the two. And that because of that, Edu may be able to have some good influence. There is talk also that from Lamina that actually, because us and United are being linked with him, he actually prefers to come to us. So, and I'll tell you what, I'd rather him than the Chelsea midfielder that we're also being. I'll come to that. I'll come to that later. but if that's the case, that's the sort of influence I want to see him have. Use any influence you can. And quite honestly, from his perspective, also build relationships. All right, you know the South American world. We play in Europe. Do you know the European market? And I want to see him have that influence as well. In terms of what the hierarchy say about his appointment, is obviously Raul's appointment. So he's the one that came out and said something today. Head of football, Raul Solani, said that he has a great experience and technical football knowledge. And most importantly, he's a true Arsenal man. He understands the club and what we stand for to millions of fans around the world. His arrival is the final and very important part of the jigsaw in our development and new football infrastructure to take us forward. So, like he says, it's the final part of the jigsaw. Apparently a word I can't say. And if that's the case, now I want to see, we've got a full team in place. How do we now use that? How do we drive that forward? And, you know, for me, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we do. I'm excited to see what this appointment means for the club. And for me, he has my full support. Like I said, I've always liked Edu. Always liked him as a player. Quite frankly, we could do Edu now in the midfield. We do a better job. Yeah, I'm excited to see how we go forward from here as a club and how we move forward as a club. More importantly than anything, I'm expecting us to be a lot more decisive when it comes to identifying talent and securing said talent. That process, I'm hoping, becomes a sharper process. So let's see what happens. You guys let me know what you think. Please leave it in the comments below. Every time you leave comments, I always tend to try and react to it or comment back. So I never tend to leave you hanging unless it's just a comment I don't know what to do with. Then I won't necessarily do anything. But definitely leave your comments below. I am under 200 now, away from my pre-season target of 5K. You guys have been awesome. I gained a bunch of subscribers yesterday. So thank you. Welcome. most importantly, I'm going to bombard you with content. So stay tuned, hold on tight. For the rest of you that haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button. I'll be back later on this evening with Eagle Eye, which is a transfer rumor show. I'll talk more about the signings I've just mentioned, as well as some other signings that I've stumbled across, and I wanted to get your opinion on that one. But anyway, any kind of comments, leave it below. Please do crush that like button. You guys have been amazing with that like button, particularly the last couple of days, and it's really got the video attention. So if you please make sure you do that before you finish listening to me waffle on, I'll really appreciate it. All right, I'm out of here. I'll be back to interact with you guys later. There'll be a live show, so don't think I'll be ignoring you. I'll be back around probably about an hour's time. You know, I like to normally not like to clash with Lee, so it'll either be just before Lee or just after Lee. The best way of keeping an eye on that is hitting that notification bell, and we'll let you know when I'm live. All right, I'm out of here. Take care. Peace.